Mrs. Sylvia or Sylvi Kekkonen, originally Uino, was born in March 1900 in the eastern Finnish town of Pieksämäki. She married a well-known Finnish lawyer and later the longest-serving Finnish president, Urho Kaleva Kekkonen, in 1926. She gave birth to twin sons Matti and Taneli in 1928. Matti is still alive. Taneli unfortunately committed suicide in 1985. She graduated from the Mikkeli Secondary School in 1918. Then she worked briefly in the Finnish Handicrafts Friends and for a longer time as a secretary of the Investigative Central Police, where she met her future husband Urho. After giving birth to twin sons in 1928, she didn't do any paid work. However, in the late 1940s, she began to write. Her first novel was called At the Home Well, and then, or actually, like Crystals in 1949. Then in 1952, she published the novel Home Well, which was a collection of memories. Then a little novel Hallway in 1955 about a nurse's life and work. And then her main work, Amalia, in 1958, about how a woman who felt failed, struggled for her self-esteem, and gave up her human hopes. Her final work was a childhood memoir in the shelter of the log fence in 1968. Since the late 1930s, she suffered from arthritis, which gradually worsened, but she kept going to social functions and then to events where she was supposed to go as the Finnish First Lady. She died of her illness or of complications from some stroke in December 1974. She was probably aware at least of her husband's long-time extramarital affair with Mrs. Anita Hallama, whose husband Jaakko worked twice as the Finnish ambassador to the Soviet Union, but for some reason or reasons she didn't get divorced from her husband, nor does she, according to her surviving writings, appear ever to have considered taking a divorce or getting a divorce. Her religious views were rather liberal and pluralistic. During the only extensive radio interview that she gave in the early 1950s, she even claimed or considered it possible that all people would have their own heaven and hell. And she admitted being a rebel against the church because, in her opinion, the church at that time was not tolerant enough towards people who had other religious views. She is considered by some political scientists, writers, and historians to have been some kind of home censor for her long-serving and quite passionately political husband. For example, she's claimed to have persuaded him to soften the rough edges of some of his writings and letters to his political opponents.